Hello friends, welcome to Risingpearl.com. Today we are talking about Series 7 where we are learning a great deal on quadratic equations. This is webisode number 12 and friends today we are going to continue to learn how do we solve questions on quadratic equation. Now this webisode will focus on quadratic formula. That is, how do we solve quadratic equations, and by solving we have seen that how do we really find the roots of a quadratic equation. And today we are going to use quadratic formula that we have learned just in the last one or two episodes. How do we find the roots using quadratic formula? So let's dive in. Now what is the quadratic formula? So if we have a quadratic equation as is written here in the standard form, ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0, where a, b, c are real numbers, a not equal to 0, then the quadratic formula is the two roots, the two roots of the quadratic equations are minus b plus square root of b square minus 4ac, the entire thing divided by 2a, and the second root is minus b minus square root of b square minus 4ac divided by 2a. So the only difference between this value and this value is the plus sign and the minus sign. So these are the two roots, and obviously we have also seen that we do get the two roots only when this term which is inside the square root, which is b square minus 4ac, this term, as we saw in the last episode, is also called as the discriminant, that's started by uppercase D. As long as this is greater than equal to 0, then the quadratic formula states that these are the two roots, right? And if this is less than equal to 0, that is if this value, or if d is less than equal, if it is less than 0, then there are no real roots. So now friends, what we are going to do is that we are going to look at some of the quadratic equation questions we have seen earlier in this series, and we are going to use the quadratic formula to find the roots. So what I have done, I have written one of the quadratic equations, and in the parentheses, the brackets, I have written the roots as we have found out earlier using either the middle term factorization or the squaring or completing the square method. So now the most important thing when we actually solve with using the roots, use the quadratic formula, is to be able to write the quadratic equation in the standard form, ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0, and clearly making sure that we know what is the value of a, what is the value of b, what is the value of c. If you don't get this right, that what is a, what is b, what is c, then you will absolutely not get the roots correct, because quadratic formula only depends on the values of a, b and c. Now why don't we do one thing? So let's first write the values for a, b and c. So a should be equal to, so ax squared is this term, so the coefficient for x squared is 1, so a should be equal to 1. Now let's write b, so plus bx, so plus 6x, so this is the bx term, so b should be equal to 6, and then c, then plus c, so here this is minus 7, so c should be minus 7. Why? Because plus, so minus 7, we can think of this as plus minus 7. So, and we have plus c. So c equals minus 7. So now that we have the values of a, b and c, so let's write the roots using the quadratic formula. So it will be minus b plus and minus square root of b square minus 4ac. Right? And this entire term is divided by 2a. So let's find out the value of b square minus 4ac first. So b square minus 4ac will be equal to, let's do it here. So b is 6, so it will be 6 square minus 4, a is 1, c is minus 7. So this will be equal to 6 square is 36. 36 minus, now minus times minus, So minus 4 minus 7 will become plus, and 4 sevens are 28. So in other words, this will be equal to, so if you were to add them, so 6 plus 8 is 4, that is 14, 1 carry over 6. So b square minus 4ac is 64. So if you were to do the square root of this, that will be equal to 8. So now we have this, let's write the values. So the values will be minus b is 6 plus minus this square root of this is actually 8 divided by 2 times a is 1. So let's write both values separately. Let's call the first root as x1 and the second root as x2. So the x1 will be equal to, let's write it here, so minus 6 plus 8 by 2, or 8 minus 6 is 2 by 2, or this is equal to 1. And the second value is equal to, x2 is equal to minus 6 minus 8 by 2, or minus 14 by 2, 2 sevens are 14, or x2 is equal to minus 7. So we see that applying the quadratic formula, one of the roots is 1 and the other root is minus 7. Now let's check, is this what we have seen earlier? Minus 7 and 1. So absolutely, just by applying the quadratic formula, we are getting the same roots. Let's take one more question. Now this is our question. 100x squared minus 20x plus 1 equals 0. And these are the two roots that we have seen earlier. So there are two roots, but they are equal. So let's see if this is what we get. So writing the standard quadratic equation in standard form, it will be ax squared plus bx plus c equal to 0. So from here we see that a will be equal to 100. This is the ax squared, so a equals 100. Now b, so the bx term is equal to, bx is minus 20x, so b should be minus 20, b is minus 20, and the value of c is plus 1, c is 1. So let's find out the value of the discriminant, b square minus 4ac. So this should be equal to, b is minus 20, so this is minus 20 whole square, b square minus 4 times a is 100 and c is 1. So a and c is 1. So what do we get? Now minus 20 times minus 20, so minus minus plus, and 20 times 20 will be 400, and minus 4 times 100 times 1 is also 400, or this value is equal to 0. So then if b square is 0, then what about the square root of b square? So square root of b square will be also equal to 0, because square root of 0 is 0. So now let's write the two roots using the quadratic formula. So the value of x will be, let's write it here, it is minus b plus minus square root of b square minus 4ac divided by 2a, or which is equal to, let's write the value minus b. So minus, what is the value of b? This is very important for you to make sure that it is minus b. Whatever the value of b is, you have to plug it in. So b itself is negative. So b, that's why I always use parentheses. It will always help you, and you are not going to be missing this negative sign. So minus b, b is minus 20, right? So minus b, now plus minus square root. So we got square root of b square minus 4ac is equal to 0. Remember, this is the b square minus 4ac is also called discriminant. We saw that in the last webisode as well. So the discriminant is 0. So if this is 0 and then divided by 2 times a is 100. So what we have here, friends, is that minus minus will become plus. So we have 20. Now plus minus 0 is 0. So it does not really matter. So we have actually only one root, which will be 20 divided by 200. right? 200 because 2 times 100. So 110 cancels off. 2 ones are 2 ones are 1, 2 tens are 20. So 1 by 10. So we see that when discriminant is 0, which is this part, when discriminant is 0, square root of the discriminant is also 0. Right? If d is 0, square root is also 0. And then we have one root. And that root is 1 by 10, which is exactly we have 1 by 10, 1 by 10. So friends, now again from the last webisode we know that, remember the three scenarios. If discriminant greater than 0, you have two distinct real roots. If discriminant equal to 0, you have same identical root. And if discriminant is less than 0, you have unreal roots. There are no real roots. So let's see if we have time. Let's take one more question. How about this question? So here we have, if you notice, I have not written any roots here. So let's find out what is going on. So if we write this in a standard form, which is written, so ax squared plus bx, I always like to do this. So where you can write it in this in your rough, so that I like to have the equation, quadratic equation, and my standard form written right next to each other, so I can compare it. So ax squared is this term, so a equals 4, so I see that a equals 4. How about b? Now b equals, bx is 3x, so b equals 3, and c equals 1, so c equals plus 5, so 5. So let's find out the value of a discriminant, which is b squared minus 4ac. 4ac. So what we see is, what is b squared? B squared is 3. So we have 3 squared minus 4. A is 4 and c is 5. So let's write it here. 5. Let's give ourselves a little bit more space. So 3 squared is 9 minus, now 4 5s are 20, and 4 5s are 20 and 24s are 80, minus 80. So this is really interesting. So what we have is, we have minus 71. So 80 is bigger than 9. So 80 minus 9 is 71, minus is 80 sine, so minus 71. So what we see, friends, is that the d is minus 71. So if the discriminant is minus 71, that means we know the two roots, if you were to write the roots. So what will happen is, it will be minus b plus minus square root of b squared minus 4ac, entire thing divided by 2a. So, or in other words, it will be minus 3, which is b, plus minus square root of minus 71. And this is where the problem is. This is minus 71 divided by 2 times a is 8. Now because you have this minus 71, now for any real value, you cannot get a minus 71. So basically there is no real number, right? If you were to imagine that somehow minus 71 is equal to some number k, then what it would mean, if you square both sides, you will have minus 71 equal to k square, right? K square if you square both sides. But there are no real numbers who you square will give you a negative number. So because of this, there are no real roots for this particular quadratic equation. So I just wanted to highlight to you that there are quadratic equations. If the discriminant, or b square minus 4ac, is a negative number, as is the case here, then there are no real roots for such quadratic equations. So let's see if we want to do one more question. So here we have 5x squared minus 6 minus 2 equals 0. I think we did that last time, and we using the completing the square method. So again, we are going to actually write it using the quadratic formula method. We are going to find out the roots, and these were the two roots that we had seen. So a will be equal to 5, right? B will be equal to minus 6, and C will be equal to minus 2. So this is what we have. So the discriminant will be b square minus 4ac, or this will be equal to b square is, don't forget the minus here, right? So it is minus 6, this is b whole square minus 4. What is a? A is 5. And what is c? C is minus 2. So we write all the terms in the bracket. Minus times minus is plus, 6 times 6 is 36. 36. Minus times minus is plus. This will be plus. And 4 5s are 20 times 2 is 40. So we get 40. Or if you add them, so this will be 76. So this is 76. Now, so d, which is a discriminant, is 76. So square root of d will be equal to square root of 76. 76. So let's see, if we were to divide this by 2, what do we get? So if you divide 76 by 2, 76, we are trying to factorize this, right? So 2, so 2 3s are 6, 1 6, 2 8s are. And then 38 we can write 2 times 19. So in other words, we can write this as basically 2 square times 19. Or 19 4s are 76, and from here 1 2 comes out, so this will basically become 2 square root 19. So now let's look at what are the roots using the quadratic formula. So it says the two roots are minus b plus minus square root of b square minus 4ac by 2a, or it will be equal to minus b is minus 6. So b itself is minus 6 plus minus square root of b square minus 4ac is 2 square root 19. 2 square root 19 divided by 2a, which is 2 times 5, right? In other words, x value should be equal to minus 6 plus minus 2 times square root 19 divided by 2 times 5, which we have written exactly the same thing, except that if you see, we can take 2 common from the top and the bottom, so 2 will cancel out. So what you will be left with is, you will be having, this will actually be minus 3, right? So actually I should say minus times minus is plus, so this should be plus. So now if you take 2 out from the numerator, you will get 3 plus minus square root 19. So we should write this as 3 plus minus square root 19, and if you cancel 2 out, so you will be left with 5. And this is exactly, these are the two values that you have, 3 plus square root 19 by 5, 3 minus square root 19 by 5. So that is what we have. So the two roots are 3 plus minus square root 19 by 5. So friends, we see that it seems like much easier if you apply the quadratic formula. You have to do some calculation here, which is this computation, but in terms of much of a thinking, there is really not much we have to do, because we really look at what is a, what is b, and what is c, and then just find out the discriminant. If this is a positive number or equal to 0, we have real roots. If it is equal to 0, there is only one, there are two values which are the same. If it is more than 0, then you have two distinct roots. If it is less than 0, there are no real roots. So friends, in the next episode, we are going to take a look at maybe some more questions on solving quadratic equations.